And then you have like the really fucked up ones. Both of you could be like, oh, fuck yeah, let's do this. And you're like, whoa, that's a whole new level.
You're alone again. I shouldn't be thinking of you, thinking of me. I know.
Hello, everyone. This is Mike, and this is the Daily Bread, Weekly Bread podcast, where I dissect my own life for people that I think are listening. So I wasn't really sure what I was going to talk about this week, but there's a couple things that came to mind, and one is that I finally uploaded my book, and I'm getting test copies now, so I'm pretty excited about this. So the only problem is that I don't really know how to market it, and that's going to be an issue because I've been working for myself since about 2006, and in that time when I started working for myself, I was just a freelancer, and then through the years, you read a lot of books about success and growing a business, and then you kind of decide, like, do I want to have employees? Do I want to actually have to deal with that shit and have all those bills that come attached to it and all the parenting basically you have to do? Or do I want to work for myself, which also limits you potentially of the money you can make unless you're like Matt Inman from the Oatmeal, who's fucking amazing. And I think that guy makes I would say from an outside perspective, that guy makes a couple million a year. But typically people like to kind of bloat their idea of what someone actually makes when they are in the spotlight or they do something that's pretty popular. But I'm guessing I'd be right. If not, I'd say he's at least making six figures in like the $300,000 to $500,000 range. But I'm thinking he's in the millions. But my goal, and he works for himself, but he also has a book publisher and he puts out games. So the smart thing that he did is that he went from, he created an experience on his website, on his blog with his comics. So his comics are really fucking funny. If you haven't checked it out, you should definitely go read his stuff or follow his Instagram. But when he started, he would just do these websites that were a joke, and it was just to make himself laugh, but he would make it interactive, where there'd be quizzes, and it almost made like an online game, which is funny because now he's putting out real board games. So he took the idea from digital and made it physical, and he started a while ago. He started like over a decade ago, I think even longer than that. And so I look at someone like that, and they are working for themselves. They're just creating what they want to create. People just buy what he makes. Like, they don't come to him and say, oh, well, we want this. And he's like, no, get fucked. He's just going to be like, this is what's in my head, and I'm putting it out there and people are buying it. And that is my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal for the comic is to somehow create an experience where it's just constantly thinking, just creating the shit that's in my head, as random as it is, and then putting it out there, and then having it be financially lucrative, I guess would be the way to put that. So that kind of turned into the books, where that was just, I found how you can self-publish. So all the books I have are self-published. I don't have a publisher. I do everything on my own. I don't know if I'd want a publisher. I don't know how much of a benefit that would be. So it's I think Tim Ferriss said at one time, it's either you can sell 1 million copies of something, but if you have a publisher, it's you're better off selling 1,000 with a higher margin, because you'll make that, instead of selling 1 million with a lower margin. Think about bands who make a percentage of a penny, so they can sell 1 million records or 10 million or 100 million, but they're only making a very small amount off of that, especially now since it's digital. I don't even know how bands make any money these days, or musicians. But it's you have that much exposure, but still, it's you're still broke. I mean, if anyone remembers the whole TLC documentary on Behind the Music, they were flat broke, and they were touring the world and putting on these giant concerts and selling out stadiums and things and selling a lot of records, but they had no money because the record deal sucked. So granted, this is it's funny. This is how my brain has to work, right? So I'm already putting myself in a position of, you gotta think of yourself as being in this bigger spot than you are. which some people could say it's like egotistical or it's inauthentic, but it's just accurate. And you have to think that, because if you think on a lower scale, you most likely are not going to hit the mark, and you're going to become lower than that. So if you have so let's say that I wanted to make 100 grand in a year. If that was my goal, I'd work enough just to get close to 100 grand. But if my goal was to make 500 grand or $1 million in a year, the actions I'm going to take are going to make me go way past 100 grand. But even though I might not make 500 grand or a million, I'd get closer to that and I'd way surpass the 100,000. So that's just the way that I've been taught to think by reading all these books for the last decade. And so it comes down to this book. It's like you have to have one goal, right? So it's just kind of like if I want to make $1 million a year, you have to have that one goal of my one goal is this. So every single thing I need to do in the next year has to go towards that goal. And if it doesn't, then I get rid of it. And I learned that from Noah Kagan, who does AppSumo. And you should go check out his YouTube page. I'm not getting paid or no one's asking me to say this stuff. I'm just like, this is the stuff that I follow. But that's his philosophy, and the guy is a millionaire. He also seems like very depressed and sad. And it's like all these successful people like Tim Ferriss, all these people are like super depressed but they're really successful. So it's like I don't want that part of it. Like I want the part that's financial, because I think I could make that work for myself better than them, as anyone else would think. But I like his philosophy again of if you have one goal, you write that down and you work backwards and you make all your different milestones of how to get there. But it has to be very specific. And the hard thing about if your goal is financial, unless you have a job that's guaranteeing you're going to make this in a year, all you need to do is just make sure you show up and you do a good job and you don't fuck up, and then you can reach that goal. Well, when you work for yourself, it's like, so for the book, let's say, I'd set a goal to be like, I want to sell, the first goal would be like, I want to sell 10 of these. And then the next one would be like, I want to sell 100, and then like 1,000, and then 10,000. So the main goal would be, all right, my big goal would be to sell 10,000 of these. So then now I'm sitting here thinking like, all right, well, how do I do that? And so that is what's on my plate at the moment. And then what I found is it's just better to find people who know how to do that and then pay them for a couple hours of their time to teach you how to do it, and then you do it. Or if you have enough money, you just pay them to do it, but then you're also losing money out of that. So you got to find this balance of what do you really want to do, but you have to take some kind of action, because then you're sitting there in analysis paralysis forever and just not taking any action, which sucks. So that's the first part of this podcast, is that the book is I'm getting copies for review, and then I'm going to start selling it. And my goal is to sell 10,000 in 2021, and I don't know how to do that. So if you are a person who's excellent at that, then reach out to me through Instagram, message me. And my other part is, I guess, more like, since coming up to 2000, it's the end of the year, where everyone's like, oh, thank God, 2020, it's the worst ever. It's like, shut the fuck up. It's a year. It's not, it's like, stop blaming. You're the same people who blamed every year prior to this. Own your shit. It's not a year. Just show up and do your shit, and stop getting so fucking mad about a fucking number. But going into every time around this year, because this is December 8th, yeah, and so I got about 30 days, September, April, June, November, 31 days. Yes, I still do that as an adult. So I've got 13 days. No, wait, how's my math going around? 20. What the fuck? What is the math on this? Dude, I cannot do math for the fucking life of me. 31 subtract 8. There we go. 23 days. 23 days left in this year. And this is where I start thinking about goals for next year. And it's been kind of dead in the last couple weeks for new clients, which starts to stress me out. And I noticed that I'm starting to get like a little dizzy because I stress out. So that's been wouldn't say alarming, but it's been top of mind because you wake up. It happened to me last year too when my dog was having seizures, and I was stressed for like a month. I was just like constantly dizzy. And so now I'm noticing because I don't have like a lot of people reaching out for projects, I'm starting to stress out a little bit, but I just need to calm down. So that's like, it makes me start reassessing, okay, I need to start taking a look at the health aspect of where I'm at, and then like what are the things I'm not doing or what are the things I should be doing? What are the things I'm doing too much of, which is probably going out all the time because I live in a city by myself and just have no responsibility. And so it'll be like Tuesday, and I'll be like, I'm gonna go to Whiskey Kitchen and drink bourbon because I just really enjoy it, and it like gets the creative juices flowing, and it just relaxes me, and I get to be around people, and I get to be, quote unquote social, but without having to hang out with people and stress out about, spending an hour or so with, I definitely have good friends who I love spending time with, but then if you ever just like go out and someone was like, oh, let's meet up for dinner or drinks or something, and you don't really have like a strong connection with them, it's like effort, and then you find yourself you're drinking more because you're trying to just kind of numb yourself to get into the conversation. And the older I get, the more that I notice that's I get more and more like kind of tense about that shit. And I don't know why. I think it's just I have no idea. I think it's just your brain is just creating these scenarios of how much it's gonna suck. But so yeah, so I like to go out and hang out by myself unless it's with like a handful of friends, and then it's enjoyable. So I take a look at, again, that relates back to the whole health thing. And so yeah, last week and this week, I've just been a little bit dizzy and just feeling, I think it could be a mixture of stress, and I just got this test. It's this company called Vessel, and they got me with an Instagram ad over the summer, and it was like $25 or something. So I bought it, and then it went silent, and I thought it was a scam, but then I got this email. It's like, your vessel's coming in the mail. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And it's basically like a stick that comes, it's an app, and it comes with this stick with all these colors and boxes and a QR code on it. So what you do is you piss on this thing in the morning. Now the problem is like you're only supposed to do it for like 3 to 5 seconds. So I think I like oversaturated this thing because I think I was pissing on it for like 20 seconds. Then you let it sit, and then you open the app and it says let this sit for 3 minutes and 30 seconds, and then they play a video of someone who they could say is a doctor, but you're like, I don't really know how to check your credentials. And they tell you about what this thing is doing, and at the end, once the time's up, it's really well done. So you take your phone, you open it up, it's a camera, and you hover the camera over it, and I tried doing it in like natural light. So then you have to like kind of move this piston stick around your apartment, which is fun, and then try to find natural light so there can't be a glare or shadows. And then it was really difficult to get this thing to like match the stick. Is like this interface opens up and it's a rectangular box, and it like lets you know that it's aligned, but it wasn't aligning. So I'm like moving this thing around my apartment, again, this piss soaked stick, trying not to make sure this isn't getting piss on my fucking apartment floor. But luckily it was dry, so I didn't really have that too much of a worry about that. But then I brought it into my bathroom, and it was able to use the light from the bathroom to get this thing to line up. If you ever have to get this thing, it's the only thing that sucks about this is getting this thing, the camera to line up. So it goes through, and wouldn't you know it, the stick's like, there's a couple things that we couldn't detect, and you're like, well, that's great, because I waited forever for this thing, and now it showed up, and I can't just go to CVS and get another one. I have to order another one, but they said you can get another one for free. And then it emailed me and said, hey, we saw that this isn't, that the test didn't go through or whatever it was, so you get to get a free stick or something. I'm actually just double checking that right now because then it sent it to me. And there we go. Redeem your card. So a couple things were missing, and then one was cortisol, which was, I didn't realize that was part of the test, but that would be a big one to check out because that, from what I've heard and read over about adrenal fatigue, which is still, I'm not sure it's a real fucking thing. Cortisol levels can affect your, make you tired or really have an effect on you. But that one wasn't available, so I was like, obviously that one's not fucking available because now I gotta wait to see if that's available. So now that it's in my head that I can see what those levels are, it's now like, great. Now I'm pissed that I can't have that. It's like I didn't know I could have it. I didn't even know I could possibly know what those levels were before I even pissed on this stick this morning and afterwards. It wasn't even in, like, it wasn't even part of my fucking thoughts for the day. And all of a sudden it was implanted because I saw it and I was like, well, now I want it. So now I have to wait and now I'm angry, which is hilarious how things work. But then I saw these other things and it's pretty cool because it says like, it said I was like really low in what is it? Folate? Yeah, like magnesium is low, my ketones are high, and let's see what else. Hydration is high, that's good. pH is high, I don't know what that means. So it seems like the only thing good I've going for me right now that I'm taking a second look at this is my vitamin C. So my magnesium, my ketones, my hydration, my pH, my B7, my biotin, they're all over the fucking place. Which is cool. Again, I don't know how accurate this thing is, but at least gives me an idea of why I might be feeling shitty, which is great because if there's an unknown of why that's happening, it's kind of freaky. But at least if there's some idea, you can start to manage that. So then I can just go on Google and be like, all right, what do I need to eat or absorb or get to get biotin? And what are ketones? And why is that? Yeah, so we'll see. I'll read this to you. Your ketone levels are too high. Oops, you overshot the goal. Your ketone levels are a bit higher than the target for most people on a ketogenic diet. You can relax your dietary restrictions a bit and increase the variety in your diet. If you want more variety in your food plan, click below. So this is when they like take you through like, and this is how you give us more money. But yeah, it's like wheat bran, edamame. I don't want any of that stuff. I don't want peas. Then this is like the paleo thing in me, getting like beans or shit. Ooh, almonds. Yeah, so it just shows me that I'm just like not fucking eating anything or eating the right stuff. So I mean, all I can do is make a list of I need these things, and then I need it from these are the foods I can get it from. So now I go and buy those and just eat them. So there's that, and that helps me go for my goals for next year. So I think before I bore the fuck out of you, because you've probably been hanging on for 18 minutes, if anyone's hanging on for 18 minutes. But I wish there was a part of me that when I do these things, it's like when you see those Instagram people or those people on YouTube who have these like healthy lifestyles, and they just like romanticize how that lifestyle looks. It's like the pictures they post of themselves or their food or their day or their thinking. It's like that's not what their life looks like through a real lens. That's photoshopped and filters added. So it's like I want to know from those people, what does your day really look like? Because when you wake up, you don't look that great. Like you don't look that majestic. And your food doesn't look that fucking fantastic when you're cooking. Because when you cook it, no one sets themselves up in this beautiful setting. But if they do, then maybe that's something that I need to do. Like maybe I need to have picturesque moments all the time to feel like I'm accomplishing my health goals. But, yeah, but it's like I want to know from these people, like, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, like, what keeps you in line? Like, how do you not stray from going out and just eating super shitty all the time or drinking or just making bad choices? Like, what keeps you on that path where you're staying that healthy? Like, that's the thing that I need to know. So when thinking about my goals for next year, there's all those things. It's like, all right, well, these are the foods I need to eat. This is where shit is low in my body. Mentally, what's going to keep me at the core to want to do this crap, and then like what's the benefit outside of that? Because I mean, from the core of it, if that's solid, then anything else outside of that's going to benefit. So it's like balancing all that shit. And then sometimes you think about all that, it just gets overwhelming, and you're like, well, I'm going to check out for the day because that's just too much that I can't handle, and I'm going to go do nothing, and then later on I'm going to go out and drink. But that's also why I added CrossFit back in my life and started doing that at 11:30 in the morning, which has been very helpful. So this was a lot of information. This is a lot to digest and to present to the audience listening. All 1 million of you. So the book is out. I'm trying to get myself healthier. I don't know. My other podcast is going pretty well. My animation company is drive80.com, drive80.com. If you want to check that out, give myself a little bit of a plug outside of the comic. But yeah, the book is in the works, and I just got to just check them out and make sure that they're ready to go. And then I'm going to post them online and try to sell them. So it's about the couples. It's called the Couples Checklist. I probably should have said that in the beginning. If you're new to this podcast, or you might already know about it since you've been listening for a while. And it's going to be a checklist of things that couples can do to strengthen their relationship. It's really about just like having them talk about these things, because some of them are, like I've said before, they're very cute, and some of them are really fucked up. But the idea is to look at either of those, because you do the really cute one, and someone could be like, oh, this is so sweet, and the other person can be like, that sounds stupid. And then right there, the two of you can be like, well, why do you think that? Why do you think that? And then you have like the really fucked up ones. Both of you could be like, oh, fuck yeah, let's do this. And you're like, whoa, that's a whole new level. Or the two of you could say, oh, we don't want to do that. Or one of you could say, I want to do that, and the other one says that you don't. And right there is the why. It's like, what's that conversation starter? Because in knowing that, either that means that you both are not on the same page about things. And it could be, it's more of like a symbol of where you are compared to them. And it really just helps you figure that out. And if you're not on the same page, do you both want to become on the same page, right? And if not, then if the other person says, like, this is just not how I am, and then you really want to be that certain way, then that makes you question, like, am I really going to put the effort in with this person for the rest of my life? Because if they're not going to budge, then that's shitty. But if you find that both of you are willing to at least talk about doing these things, again, either super cute or super fucked up, it's like, that's a great place to be. And if you don't want to get the book because you're afraid of the two of you, like what the two of you might, or it's like if you're afraid of the test that the two of you would go through, then that's also a conversation starter. So the book, it just in general, I think I'm really fucking proud of this thing. It's so simple, but I don't know, it's supposed to be funny, but I really think that it kind of became its own thing, and I think that it's really, I don't know, it sounds egotistical, but I think it's like a powerful thing. And the mission statement for it is to really help couples figure out if they should be together or not. It really is that, as much of a joking thing it is. And it became that. And I had like dry mouth or dry throat there. And I hope that it really does like do something. And I think if there's a real, like, again, a mission statement, if there's a real reason for something to sell, then that adds more power for it needs to get out there. And if it's just like the first book I did was just a collection of drawings, the world doesn't need that. Like, it doesn't need to have that unless they find that unless the mission statement is like, I really want people to just feel joy, then that adds a life to it. But with this, I mean, it's like constant. It's the two of you because some of them be like, do this for a week or do this for a week. So you could live on one of those for a week, and then the book is still relevant months later, which is pretty cool. Instead of just reading something and putting it down after 10 minutes or 2 minutes, and you're like, well, there's no real reason to read that again. So hopefully people like it and they spread the word, and I'll start promoting it soon. But that is it. So go out and find out what's making you feel unhealthy.